Today, we're figuring out which Stronger With You fragrance is the worst and the best. We're gonna go in chronological order, so let's jump to 2017's Stronger With You Original. I originally had this at a D tier considering my last time smelling it, but despite me not typically liking it, I'm enjoying it just a little, just a smidge. I don't know what it is, I sprayed this fragrance in this exact same room and that vanilla wasn't there before, and now all of a sudden it is. My opinion on this fragrance still stands though. All the fragrances post the original are just far more better. I will give credit though, this did start an amazing wave. Out of all the fragrance originals, this isn't as bad. I mean, you could have Paco Rabanne's 1 Million original. With all that being said, this is a solid S tier fragrance. No, S? I meant C. Sorry, C. This will never be S tier, ever. Stay tuned to the end to see where I rank the newest Stronger With You Parfum. We're in 2019, 2 years later after the original dropped with Stronger With You Intensely, which is a huge step up. What made me say that this is a huge step up is that the OG was sweet with no spice, but this is what everybody was looking for. It had the sweetness, the spiciness, it was just a beautiful aroma. With the OG, it let people know who they are, but this really put them on the map. Just because they let everybody know, hey, we the man when it comes to spices, don't you ever try and play with our capability in your life. The longevity and projection of this fragrance is astounding. It'll last you up to 8 hours with crazy intensity, up to the 6 hour. I'm contemplating between B and A tier with this fragrance, but in retrospect, when it first dropped, I would have put it A tier. But now with all these other drops, I'm considering, yeah, B tier. Fast forward a year from 2019, now we're in 2020 where the pandemic began and we were all stuck indoors from COVID. This bad boy dropped, Stronger With You Leather. This hoe smacks. Realistically, this fragrance went under everybody's radar because nobody was worried about fragrances during the pandemic. We had bigger and better shit to deal with. But after 5 years later, smelling it again really made me think this brought a lot of character and depth to the collection. I mean, they really wanted us to know we can really work with any notes we want. So whoever thought about putting the original DNA with leather, they need a vacation and a raise. Because it's genius, they added a dark, smooth touch to an already spicy and gourmand scent that is crazy. This is another fragrance I would need to put in my rotation for this next upcoming winter because it's inviting and comforting, the perfect cuddle buddy scent. I feel like out of their entire collection, this is a very underrated fragrance, bro. I'm not gonna lie with you, I don't give a damn. This is an S tier scent. We're still in 2020, but Stronger With You Freeze drops. I always talk my shit with this fragrance. This is another underrated fragrance that needs to stay underrated. I think that this is abysmal horseshit. I do not like this fragrance at all, because for one, they added that spicy and citrusy combo that I genuinely despise. For two, what they were trying to execute, I can see the vision, it's just like, it wasn't executed properly. I genuinely believe from the bottom of my heart that this didn't need to be created. Because I feel like with the Stronger With You collection, Armani specializes in cuddle buddy and seductive aromas, but then they tried making a fresh scent which just wasn't needed. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand trying to give people variety and different options, but dude, no. But after it settles in, it just turns into something that I wouldn't personally wear and I actually hate. This is probably the only bad fragrance I'll say Stronger With You has. This is going F tier for surely. I've never worn this and I never will. With this next one coming up, I swear to God when I say this, it was my favorite for years. Stronger With You, absolutely. When they dropped this, I literally thought in my head, how do they keep getting better? If you thought Stronger With You Intense was intense, in a room, this is like a projection grenade. They made it spicy, woody, boozy from the rum and still added that vanillic touch. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. When the pandemic was over and I discovered this, I swear to God, I was in Tennessee on cold nights wearing this with a trench coat on. I know that's very specific, but I was feeling very warm, snug, and inviting, dude. Like, it was just a different vibe with this on. I mean, do you even gotta question where I'm placing this? Obviously S tier. This held me down for years. With this next one coming up is 2022, and 3 years later to now, 2025, I've never worn this fragrance. It's Stronger With You only. So this is giving off the same vibe as Stronger With You Freeze. It seems like they tried going for another fresh scent like Freeze, but the difference is this is actually more enjoyable, as opposed to Stronger With You Freeze, which came off very messy. The only downside that I'm noticing with this is that it has very little to moderate projection. If you're a big fan of the Stronger With You collection like I am, I could see why you get this because you just want some variety to the scents. When it comes to Armani's fresh scents in this collection, I really feel like it comes off out of character. When I think about the Stronger With You collection, I think about spices, sweetness, and seduction. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different vibe. This isn't so bad it should be below a C, but it also shouldn't be above a B. This is a very low B tier fragrance. With this next one coming up, the best way I could put it is simplistically interesting. I expected this from them. I mean, the combination of notes just makes sense. Stronger With You Oud. Going into this, I expected the typical Stronger With You DNA. I'm talking like spices, vanilla, you get it, the whole shebang. But nah, it's missing that Armani spicy touch. The reason reason I say that is because I smelled 5 fragrances from different brands that smell exactly like this. You know, with oud, I feel like if you're trying to not put too much thought behind the scent, there's really only 3 places you can go with it. Oud with spices, earthiness, and florals. And this is the oud with florals that I've smelled many times, to be honest with you. Does that make this fragrance terrible? I don't believe so. There's probably tons of good aromas out there that smell similar, but they're still good aromas. If I wore this fragrance, I'd wear it this fall. Maybe you're gonna go rent a lodge out in the middle of the woods. This would be a cool fragrance for that. This fragrance isn't like mind-blowing enough to be S or A tier, so I'm gonna put it B tier. It's cool. It's nothing crazy. I'm gonna be real. I haven't smelled this next one coming up in a while. But from what I can remember, it isn't terrible, but it also isn't phenomenal. Stronger With You Amber. Look, throughout my whole fragrance journey, I've seen amber work wonders. Like Prada Black, Dior Homme 2025 edition, which is amazing, and Commodities Gold. The list goes on. It's not as great as the other ones I just mentioned. It's vanillic, ambery, powdery, and floral, but I really would have loved to see a spicy element in this. You know, something like a tonka bean that still ties all that sweetness together while being spicy. On top of that, maybe some pink pepper to raise the intensity of the spiciness. I'm gonna put this C tier. It's nothing too crazy. It's an okay scent. It's meh, you know what I mean? We're finally here to the newest edition of the collection, the Stronger With You Parfum, which after all the flankers, thank God, came back to the Stronger With You DNA. With this, you got some touches from different fragrances, like this intense lavender you'd see not only in this, but Stronger With You leather and oud. The overall original DNA is stupid intense. The spiciness is cranked to the max, the sweetness is cranked to the max. This is just crazy. This is, no, not can be, no, this is the best Cuddle Buddy scent you can get for 2025. Shit, I'll even go as far to say that this is 2025's best fragrance. Dior Homme 2025 was a close contestant, but nah, this is by far the greatest. Absolute S tier, actually high S tier. I'm gonna die on this hill, this is the best fragrance on the tier list. If you thought this tier list had some crazy takes, you should go watch my Ultimate Latafa Fragrance tier list video. They get crazy over there.